January 5th, 2019, we were able to get out for our first rabbit hunt of the year. I always enjoy these rabbit hunts because you never know what you're going to get, and I mean that literally. The last 2 years we had the neighbors shoot at us, so it's always interesting, always fun. There was one member that wasn't able to join us this year. I'd like to dedicate this hunt to him. He passed away on November 10th, 2018. Starting out, we headed down from the barn, and we weren't very far, but these tubes here that you see, if you haven't seen my videos prior, those are some trees that I planted, and I posted several videos on those, persimmons, chestnuts that were planted last year, and those are there to protect them from being eaten. So this woods here, this is a spot. It's a little bit open on this hillside, but the next hillside over, it gets a little bit thicker, and that's where the dogs jumped the first rabbit of the day. So after about 10-15 minutes of running the rabbit, it circled back around, ran past me at about 60-70 yards, too far to shoot, and Worm, our buddy, was able to shoot it, and that rabbit didn't die right away. It ran, and I was waiting for it to come out from behind a tree, and it never did. But once I heard the dogs growling, I decided to walk up there and see what was going on. But the dogs had gotten it. Unfortunately, we were too late getting there. Even though it was only about 20 seconds, those dogs kind of tore into the rabbit, and unfortunately it was a loss. So dogs got the first one, but you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. Just have to try to get on them real quick. Not all the dogs will tear them up, but you know, a couple of them get really excited. So it's not a pretty sight, but you know, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So you know, the dog's got a little feed on this one, and we'll head off to try to find another one. Fortunately, that was the only time that happened. So after that first rabbit, we walked to the top of the hill, and we were almost immediately on a second rabbit. This is a spot where we jumped some last year as well, so it's a good spot. Some brush and thickets in here. So once the dogs jumped it, that rabbit took off down the wood line, but he immediately circled back within, you know, probably 50 yards, less than 2 minutes. He circled back, and Mike was on the flank. He was able to take a shot at the rabbit that was trying to cross the field to get to another set of woods. He was able to shoot it, and he killed it cleanly. And the dogs are circling back around now on the trail, and they just now are seeing the rabbit that died. So they are proceeding on to the next rabbit now that they know that one has been taken. So I'll walk over here and show you the rabbit. So in this third rabbit, unfortunately my camera battery died, but the dogs jumped it, and this rabbit immediately backtracked. And I was down the hill. I was kind of looking at some deer sign, but it ran right towards me, so I was able to take it coming right at me, and that's just a leaf on its leg, but it was a pretty easy shot, to be quite honest. So after the third rabbit, we walked down the ridge a little further, and about 75 yards down, we jumped a fourth rabbit, and this area is extremely thick. This isn't too far from where I shot my buck this past year. So the dogs, they ran this rabbit, and they ran it all over the place. This was an hour run where they were going through creeks, going over ridges, through woods. This rabbit was zigging, zagging. They were just going everywhere. It was trying to evade the dogs, and it was doing a pretty good job. But the dogs were able to run it back, and Mike was able to take it. And what do we got here? My brother's going to tell. There he is. He took a spill. So, I just wanted to include that footage. Hopefully he'll see this. So this is another area where I've seen a lot of deer sign, and not far from where I took my buck, but they jumped up another rabbit here, the 5th rabbit of the day, and they chased this rabbit on the far hillside over there, and eventually the two dogs just circled back around, and they're in the creek, and I was waiting for this rabbit to come down this creek towards me, but he jumps up over the bank and heads straight towards me. I shoot and I miss. It goes into this creek where I thought it was going to come out, and I was able to take it. I just got to figure out how to get over there. I don't think I can jump over there. Cross it going over, so I got to go under. The gun, of course, is on safety. So I walk over there, and dogs haven't quite gotten there yet. So I hop down in this creek here, pick them up. A little squirmy still, but those are just those reflexes. So I'm waiting for the dogs to come back around so they can see that the rabbit has been shot, and they're really focused on the scent trail, as you might imagine, but they're not looking up at all. They're just trying to find him. So they usually run a little bit behind these rabbits, and that's typical. They're basically just trying to push the rabbits, and a lot of times those rabbits will circle back around to where they originally came from. But sometimes they can run quite a bit. They can run quite a far ways. This one wasn't too bad. There's not a whole lot of cover where he headed off to. So now that we got kind of the dogs back and looking for the next rabbit, I'm going to come back over across the fence here, and I'm going to show you a pretty decent sized rub. You can see a lot of deer crossing in this valley, and they're heading up the hill. Some heavily used trails here. This is a pretty good sized rub here. Something's been working this hard. There's a 9-pointer in this area that we didn't shoot. It could be him, or it could be from that 10-pointer I shot. So rabbit 6, I didn't get to see. That was a run for about a half an hour. Rabbit 7 was one that I actually kicked up while they were chasing rabbit 6. I didn't get to see that one shot either. But rabbit 8, this is one that we jumped up last week, the week prior. And that rabbit was in the exact same spot. It was in a patch of grass right next to some trees that we had cut, some edge feathering. That edge feathering has worked out really, really well for these rabbits, rabbit hunting. If you haven't done some logging or cutting and left it lay, some hinge cutting or whatever the case may be, if you want rabbits, that's definitely the way to go. Cutting next to these fields, it gives those rabbits some cover, vertical and horizontal cover from birds and coyotes, foxes, all that stuff. So they love to kind of live in there. After taking the 8th rabbit, we worked this power lines, and there's some brush out in the middle of it. It's been cut several years ago, but they cut and sprayed it. It's just starting to come back with some brush. So we jump a rabbit out in the middle of this brush, and the dogs take off after it, and they chase it for 20-30 minutes. Eventually we just called the dogs back. We're headed back to the truck, calling it a day. So we just kind of let that one go. I think we jumped 11 rabbits in total, and we shot 8. One of them we shot and missed, or we didn't shoot, we missed, and the other 2 we kind of called the dogs off the chase. We had some other, either had rabbits nearby or we're heading back to the truck like this here.
That's what Wyatt said. I had him going for a while.
So after finishing up, we unloaded all of our guns, we took off our camo, and it was quite warm, particularly for this time of the year. It was around 60 midday. So we finished up, we talked a little bit, and then we started processing these rabbits. We gutted them, and then we skinned them out and put them in baggies. And later on, I'll cook one up for you.
We ate it all gone because of it. So good.
And it'll be pretty interesting. Turned out really good, so you'll definitely want to stay tuned for that video. If you haven't ever had rabbit before, it's really good. They used to sell it at markets and that, but it tastes similar to chicken. I know everybody says that, but it's really good. Now, my brother, he didn't get one today, and I know it's because he was wearing a Duke sweatshirt. He ought to be wearing a UK sweatshirt. So I appreciate everybody watching, and for those subscribers and all the viewers out there, thank you so much. You guys are the reason I do this. It's a lot of time and commitment, but it's a lot of fun too. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next video.